Hi there, welcome to the tutorial on advanced timeline editing. Here we'll go a bit more in depth into the timeline's various features and functions. Here I have a single character on the screen, and I've opened her facial and body motion tracks in the timeline. Facial clip is where your puppeteering actions for the face will appear, and if you ungroup them, it will create keys in the three subtracks below. Under face motion is face transform and face sprite. These will show keyframes whenever sprites are edited or facial parts are moved or resized. The motion track is the same for the body. Just remember that keyframes in the transform track will indicate changes in size or position, while keyframes in the sprite track will indicate sprite replacement. At frame 50, I'm going to use the pose tool in the key editor to raise my character's arm. You'll see a key appear in the body transform track to indicate a change in position. The playback will show a slow arm raise. If I want to raise the arm faster, I can move that body transform key ahead a bit to make a faster animation, or further on in the timeline for a slower animation. I'll go to the peak of my arm raise now and enter the sprite editor. I'm going to replace the hand with a victory sign, and you'll see a keyframe appear in the body sprite track. I can also change the position of that keyframe to create a sprite switch at a different time. I'm going to proceed to go ahead a few frames and change the hand sprite again twice more. You can see that the keyframes will appear for every change. I'm going to open up the right and left hand subtracks here now for comparison. You'll see that the right hand has a single keyframe on the transform track and 3 on the sprite track, while the left hand has nothing. If I open up the right arm subtrack, you can see that it also has a single keyframe at the destination. I can move that keyframe ahead, which will result in the upper arm reaching its destination, and the forearm will continue to move afterwards. You can see that between those frames, only the forearm is moving. Okay, so let's take a look at the facial motion tracks now. I'll scrub to my first hand gesture, which is where I want to change the facial expression first. I'm going to give my character some surprised eyes by switching out the sprites. Then I'll go forward a few frames and replace them with happy eyes. You can see the corresponding keyframes appear on the facial sprite subtrack. So when I play back now, you can see the eye transition. Now I'm going to edit the mouth sprite. I'll go to the first frame where the eyes begin their transition and change the mouth. Then I'm going to go ahead to the end of the gesture and change it back to a smile. You'll see that the original mouth sprite will change to the first one I replaced, so I'll go back to frame 1 and switch that back to the original. Now the playback will show the manual sprite animation. Now I've opened up all the tracks that I changed, and you can see that if I move the keyframe on the right eye and play back, that its transition will be delayed compared to the left eye. What I'll do now is demonstrate facial transform keys. I'll go to the frame right before the facial transition and set an absolute key, which will essentially create a key in every one of the transform tracks of the face, to preserve the last position up until that point. Then I'll go a few frames ahead to right after the sprite switch and increase the size of both of the eyes. You'll see that the transform tracks will appear in their corresponding subtracks as a result. What I'll do now is copy the original master keyframe in the transform track and paste that near the end of the sprite switch. This will also copy the subtrack keyframes and also the original eye size. So when I play back, you can see that the eyes will return to their normal size. I'll adjust the positions of the keyframe here to get a more ideal look. In addition to resizing, moving facial sprites will also create a transform key. I'm moving the mouth sprite to demonstrate how it will make a keyframe appear in the transform track. I'll just press Ctrl Z to undo that key addition. Now here's the expression we're looking for. What I'm doing now is recording some facial puppeteering to demonstrate how you can break apart puppeteering clips and edit their keyframes. You'll see the puppeteering clip appear in the facial clip track. If I right-click on that clip and select Ungroup, the clip will be broken up into a bunch of keyframes in the subtracks. The head track represents the head movement. If I delete those and play back, the head will no longer rotate like it did before. If I delete the eye keyframes, then the eyes will stay stationary as the head rotates. Now I'm going to do some further sprite editing to our broken up clip and close my character's eyes. This will not affect the eyeball rotation, as you'll soon see. I'll go ahead to a feature frame now and replace those eye sprites with some smiley eyes. The playback will show that the eyeballs continue to rotate under the closed eye sprites. I'm now adding a smile to the animation, and you can see the corresponding keyframes in the mouth tracks below. Here's what the final animation will look like. Alright, now I'll show you the same thing using the body. I have a running clip in the puppeteering panel which I'll break up, and I have all the right arm tracks as well as the lower torso open. As I ungroup that, you'll see a whole bunch of keyframes appear. These are the different position changes that puppeteering automatically puts in. I'll delete the ones from the lower torso first so you can see the difference. You'll see that my character's body doesn't actually move up and down anymore because the lower torso is the body position control point of animator characters. Next, I'll delete the keyframes in the upper and lower arms but leave the hand alone. Now when I play back, you can see that the arm will remain stiff while the wrist will still rotate slightly. I want to make it seem like my character is running with something, so I'll open up the motion key editor, go back to the original frame, and raise my character's arm slightly. The same animation will play, only the arm is slightly higher this time. What I've done now is import in a beer prop, and I'm going to link that to her hand by using the link tool at the top. Just select the beer, click link, then select the hand sprite. Now when I play back, you can see that my character will run with the beer, and the beer will follow the slight rotation of my character's wrist. It's pretty fun and easy to break apart puppeteering clips to make your own custom animations. Try it yourself.